Hey,
Hey, Pam. Huh?
isn't this, I thought this was the meeting.
Welcome, everyone, to the April 2025 meeting of CPO 1, Community Participation Organization number 1. We are in person this evening at the Opal apartment building, and there are a few people there. And then we're also here on Zoom.
Okay.
So, through hybrid meeting.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you want to turn the mic off there for a minute or two while we get going?
Oh, yes.
Okay. I am going to go ahead and do the land acknowledgement. We share this land acknowledgement every month to remind us where we are and what we're doing. We acknowledge the people on whose land we live, the Atfality Kalapuyans, also known as the Tualatin Band of Kalapuyans, the first inhabitants of Washington County. We are grateful for the land we're on, Kalapuyan land. Signers of the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855 were removed from their homelands to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation. Today, their descendants are carrying on the traditions and cultures of their ancestors. We acknowledge and express gratitude for the ancestors of this place and recognize that we are here because of the sacrifices forced upon them. In remembering these communities, we honor their legacies, their lives, and their continuation in our community. I'd like to invite all of us to reflect on the role government has played in the painful colonial history, and reflect as well on the resilience and healing of the indigenous land and communities. We invite everyone to collaborate and work together with the tribes to take care of the land and water and the people who inhabit these spaces. And that's what we try to do in CPO 1, take care of the land and the people. Okay, so we have a pretty busy evening. We will start off with our community partners, and let me figure out here who we've got. I'm using an old mouse and it doesn't have a scrolling function, so I'm having to use something else. And we have Lindsay. Let's go ahead and start with you, Lindsay. Introduce yourself and
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Lindsay Wachnick. I am with Tualatin Valley Water District, and we do serve a portion of residents and businesses in CPO 1. A couple quick water-related updates for you today. We currently have a water main replacement project underway on Northwest West Lawn Terrace from about 128th Avenue to 131st Avenue. I just talked to the construction lead, and he said all of the pipe is in the ground. So that's wonderful news. We're going to be out there another 4 weeks or so, kind of buttoning up stuff, putting in a new pressure regulator vault. So after we're done with that, we have some other projects in Beaverton, main related. And then within the next year or so, we're going to do another main replacement on Black Hawk Drive, and then also on 123rd Place in CPO 1. So just wanted to share that. We also have a Talkin' Water. It's a virtual forum. It's going to be held Wednesday, May 14th at 12 noon, and it's about spring irrigation turn on and tune up. So if you're interested in that, tvwd.org/Talkin' Water. And then just one quick water efficiency tip for April. It's a great time to focus on water conservation. The weather is starting to warm up, and we're beginning to use water more for outdoor activities. So a quick tip to help you save water this season. Lawns don't often need much water. Here in kind of our climate, in April, they need less than a half an inch once a week. So just a tip there to keep things green. If you have any questions, I am here. And if you want to know more or would like me to talk on a specific topic related to water, please let me know or contact Virginia, and she can let me know. But Thank you for having me.
Have you heard anything about the brouhaha with Clean Water Services and the travel allowances and stuff?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because they are one of our partners.
Right.
As you know, we're separate agencies. They provide sanitary sewer and stormwater services, and TVWD provides water.
Right.
So we partner on the utility bill, sending out the utility bill together. But that's kind of where our I'd say our partnership kind of ends.
Right.
But just that's kind of our understanding. We read the news like everybody else, and so we're interested in learning more when they have time to share, I guess.
Yeah. We're all interested in learning more.
That's right. And even as a taxpayer as well. So excuse me, as a ratepayer. So
yeah. Okay. I know last month we were all worried about making sure that the water pipes wouldn't freeze. And then we had the backflow. And so that should be underway now.
That's right. Yes, backflow. And that's one of the things they're going to talk about in the Talkin' Water virtual forum, the importance of having a backflow assembly so water isn't going the wrong direction and potentially polluting the public water system. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, if nobody has any more questions, I guess we'll move along.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Oh, Pam, hi. Okay, let's
It looks like the sergeant just arrived at the Opal, so
what's that?
the
Sergeant
sergeant
arrived. We'd like to go next.
Okay. That's not right. CHPOD, did you want to report on anything? Aside from what you're doing?
If the sergeant's there, we're gonna go next, so that way he can get back to the road.
Yeah, you bet.
Thank you. Just yeah, so I'll just a couple of quick safety updates just so everyone knows. Our spring safety guide has been sent out. I believe, Virginia, the Cedar Mill News, you put it in the news as well.
I did.
Yeah, so check that out. Obviously, that includes home safety, window safety, daylight savings, safety checks, as well as bicycle safety. A lot of great tips in that, so take a look at that. I will share the calls for service map, and then the sergeant can discuss that.
Great.
All right, Sergeant, all yours.
You know, I gotta say, I miss the times when we were all in a big room together. I'll say that. This is different for me. My name is Sergeant Vincent Parasol with the Sheriff's Office. I've been working for the Sheriff's Office for coming on 9 years now, and I've been going to CPO meetings for a while, and this format is a little different for me. That being said, when I do go to CPO meetings, there's a few things that I do like to share, and a lot of these might seem like common knowledge. I'm a huge proponent, if you guys don't know already, or don't have them already, I'm a huge proponent of camera systems. These things help us a lot. They're not too expensive. You can get the yearly subscriptions that aren't too bad. And not only to protect your own homes, but you know, something happens next door, someone drives by, big thing happens down the street. It's nice to have these this camera footage that you guys always have available. And I think most people at this point have cameras, but if you don't, like I said, I have Ring cameras at my personal home, and I love them. They're awesome, great quality, not too expensive. I can put 20 around my house, all wireless, floodlights, everything. On that note, we'll talk about stolen vehicles. In the last couple of years, they've been shooting through the roof. Please, it's still cold out. Whatever you do, if you're going to leave your cars running in the morning to start them up, Please have a way to lock your cars, or another way where it's not just your car's just not unlocked in your driveway running, because all the time, early morning, stolen vehicles happen all the time, and it's easy pickings for those people who just go, cars running in the driveway, I'm going to jump on in, and it's that easy. So please have a way to, if you don't have the keyless thing or whatever you got to do, just please keep that in mind. Other than that, self-initiated, looking at the map, it looks like self-initiated's up. It's good. Calls for service this time of year looks like they're a little bit down, which is good. Usually when the calls for service go down, the self-initiated activity goes up, as we can see here. Historically in my career, I've worked our rural areas. That's kind of been my area, and a LOA area. I've also worked up here, which is the 2 area. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys may have for me, or discuss anything. If it's something that might be above my pay grade, I'm happy to push something on to Lieutenant.
Seems like it's been a fairly quiet month. I haven't heard too much about. Well, I read something that about the shoplifting situation, that Target doesn't pursue shoplifters, and so people really like to shoplift from there.
That's correct. It's depending on, like, a lot of these big chains, and it's unfortunate because a lot of times they'll be so slammed and and liability wise, a lot of times they won't, and let's keep it a little bit of a secret, but they won't a lot of times they won't even call us unless it's a certain dollar amount, which is really unfortunate. But at the same time, these big corporations are just absolutely buried. We did a target theft mission recently. I believe it was last week, sometime last week, maybe last Friday. And in a period of like 5 hours, we caught 15 shoplifters. And so like that surprised me, like in that little time, like we literally only just caught at 3 stores in a period of like 5 or 6 hours, 15 shoplifters that are just doing it in that span. So like, I mean, I can't imagine right now, like at every store, how many people are actually shoplifting. On that mission, we had detectives running it. We had detectives in the LP offices and literally supervising these things and watching out on people just to help them out. And like I said, the liability that comes with stopping shoplifters, as you can probably imagine, when you're simply security or LP, it comes with a high cost of liability. So they're doing their best. In our eyes, it's like, I wish that they had more resources to be able to pursue all of these cases, but it's just the amount that come in, and it's always Target for some reason. I don't know what it is about Target. Walmart and Cornelius gets it all the time, but the bigger ones, Target for some reason. I don't know if it's a thing where their threshold for calling is a little bit different and people are finding out about it, but that seems to be the trend, is the targets.
They do make a target of themselves.
That's it. Yeah, it's a target. Yeah, people see that. It's like, oh,
yeah. Does it seem like their policies draw other kinds of criminal behavior? Because the people that are heading there to shoplift might be using drugs or.
Oh yeah. And a lot of people like what they'll do is they'll typically arrive in a car. Rarely does someone show up on foot, walk there from somewhere else, show up on foot and steal and leave. 95% of the time, there's a getaway driver in the parking lot. And a lot of these times it's a stolen vehicle. People will steal the vehicle, they'll switch plates, and they'll use these vehicles to steal and as the getaway car. Then they'll pursue, or they'll elude us, I'm sorry. And as you can imagine, when someone high-speed pursuits, especially times like rush hour traffic, a lot of liability on our end too. So that being said, if you guys see anything suspect and if there's a vehicle involved, if you can, try to get that plate. Obviously, don't confront them if you can help it. And if you can get plate information, that helps us immensely when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Roger, you have a question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I got the quarterly update from the Washington County, and I had a question on that. It was curious. It talked about cut-through streets and how to prevent this and that, and it said, you can call for enforcement. So anyway, my particular interest is when I looked at the stats that you posted there, I mean, there was what, 252 calls CPO 1 for a quarter. So that's like two traffic stops a day. And I mean, if I was a deputy, I could sit in front of my house and I could hand out 500 tickets a day, I'm sure. And is there some policy where like I live on Barnes Road, which is for 50 years, and of course now it's designated a minor arterial. I mean, is there a policy where you don't police arterials anymore? And you're just pushing down into neighborhoods or something?
Not to my knowledge. We don't have a policy about the arterials. Obviously, when it comes to something such as a private road, that's just because it's a private road doesn't necessarily mean there can't be traffic enforcement on it. It's just when it comes to like parking enforcement, that's kind of where that applies. What I recommend is, so this is shift two. Shift two for us is 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. Yeah, 10 hours. And I came from Graveyard recently, and I'll tell you, like, this Bethany area, initially when I first started working, I was like, why does Bethany get like the most amount of like units? And then I realized started working a swing shift in the Bethany area, and it's like literally call to, and I'll tell you what we talked about Target. Target has a huge amount of these calls, but it is so busy up here with the amount of population moving in that a lot of time it's hard for a deputy to break away from literally either writing the report from the last one, going to the next one, and running traffic on a street. That being said, doesn't mean it can't be done. So what I suggest, if you want to make a call for service and say, like a traffic call for service, that works really well. A deputy can go there and they'll sit there for an hour, depending on calls. If a domestic comes out, obviously that district car has to clear and go take that domestic. But what I always tell people when it comes to traffic complaints is we have a motorcycle team, a really well-staffed motorcycle team that for a reason. So if you go on our website, Washington County Sheriff's WCSO, I think Megan, if you could post that, the actual website. And there's a section on it that says, I want to file or make a report or file a complaint, and it'd be like a traffic complaint. What happens with those traffic complaints when you guys make those formal traffic complaints, as instead of going to a deputy that has to take calls and calls for service and go to emergencies, fights, whatever it might be, shoplifts, it goes directly to our motorcycle team, and they have a stack of these complaints, and every day they're assigned, okay, today we worked that one, mapped it out, worked it, got some sites on it, got some stops on it, and then they move on to the next one. And they assign these every day, these areas that are these complaints that are coming in that are literally handwritten and put in the box. Hey, today you're gonna be working these ones, these ones, these ones. So for people that have traffic concerns, please do that, because I can put it out as soon as I leave here. Hey, a community member is looking for traffic control on this street. It's going to go in an email. A two-area car will look at it. Oh yeah, I'll go check that out. On their way, they get dispatched to a shoplift at Target now, and then they go do that. Now they're writing the report. We got to wait till the other shift comes on. They're slammed. As you can imagine, it gets hard when an email goes out from a sergeant to say, hey, let's stay on top of this. So if you do those complaints, it will get worked. And you're able to put your name, phone number, they'll call you for anything else. Hey, can you be specific about where you're seeing this problem? And they'll reach out to you on that. So again, our website, we'll get the link out for you on that. And it's like make a report or file a traffic complaint, or there's a tab or something. And that's probably the best way as far as getting someone who's dead, because those motorcycle officers, they don't have to go to the domestics and the shoplifts. And the 2 area has a lot of domestics because of all the apartment complexes. The more apartment complexes you have, the more people in a confined area, and the more domestics we typically have. So we're kind of tied up as far as that. The 2 is very busy in that regard. Please make that traffic complaint and get it over to our motor team. That would be awesome.
To that, I know it was this CPO. I'll add, I did bring the, was it the Lamborghini issue?
Oh yeah, the gold
to
Lamborghini.
Yeah, I brought that to the traffic team. They are aware of it. They are strategizing and looking into the situation. They are aware of the traffic issues you're having. However, he did want to encourage all of you to do exactly what he's saying, and that's put in that traffic report, because they do look at those priority wise based off of how many they've received for certain areas. So if certain areas receive more complaints, they, get pushed up a little bit in the priority. So please be filing those complaints so that we know that there are these issues in that area.
The last thing I heard about that was that somebody saw the two cars. It was the Lamborghini and something else, both of them gold, heading off in a vehicle in a car carrier. So he's moving.
Oh,
But
that would
I
be
was
the
driving
solution
down
to the
Cedar,
problem, wouldn't it?
I was driving down Cedar Hills Boulevard, and some guy in a piped up pickup truck pulled out into the opposing line of traffic to pass the people that were going too slow, in his opinion. It's some kind of disease.
Yeah, and they're aware of that. So, I just want you to know that they're following up on that. But we do recognize the
And
traffic.
we just saw the other day like a mother and her kid were killed because of that. Somebody in the wrong lane. Anyway.
Well, if I look at the stats, I was looking at the traffic stat, or the roadway, where it gives you the amount of cars per day and it gives you the average travel speed on the website. Well, if you've got a road that's posted 35 and 85% of the cars are traveling at 43, isn't it clear that you need to get out and patrol on that street? That there are safety concerns that should be, that the laws aren't being followed and they should be maybe enforced occasionally at least.
What's Roger, what street did you say that was on?
Well, I've looked on Southwest Barnes Road and it's 43. And then like Leahy Road, there's a section of that, which is like 42 or something. So, I mean, you can go around. It's really nice, the website. You can poke around and just see what the average travel speeds are on these roads, and then you can look at what it's posted at. But anyway, I appreciate your that they've beefed up the enforcement unit. Sounds like they've got more motorcycle people now, maybe
Oh,
because
yeah.
of summer. So that's good. And I don't want to take any more time. Megan, you're well aware of my concerns. So, and I appreciate any effort you can do. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for your input. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you keeping it in front of our mind.
Pam? We have a question here in the audience.
Okay.
Sir, and Megan, you and I talked, Officer Megan, and thank you for that conversation I made with the CPO Business Association. Sheriff, then I am asking you and Megan, I will help you solve problems, helping us. Is there someone to talk to and problem solve with at the sheriff department? I realize now your area is so huge. Forest Heights, you just said, Cedar Hills, Boulevard. If everyone forgive me, interject, specifically Cornell Road. Let's say Katie Car Wash on east to, let's say the church. What's the church right here across on east of US Main? That area has devolved within 9 months. Word is out. I have talked with management at Target, the CVS, Walgreens, Safeway, US Bank. Word is out to come here. I do think the bottle redemptions are a huge drop, and I'm working on that separately. One of the sheriffs so nicely told me that there's a straight shot bus, that's another issue, from downtown, bus 48 or something, straight out to the bus shelter where I've seen someone passed out. Shopping carts. So I am now recognizing the flags that are downtown and east side. Our Bounder RV that is relentless in our area. Tents across the Katie Car Wash, now that spring has come and the foliage is grown over, are hiding back there. There's drug paraphernalia across from the Key Bank by that Zone Factors and the side of Target. So RVs, tents, drug paraphernalia, drug people passed out, and some shopping carts that are from Home Depot, Market of Choice, often by the bus shelters, and trash dumps. There is, cars now that are staying unreported. This one truck's been there probably 8 months on Cornell. So again, here are all the red flags that's happening. I want to help you problem solve. I need desperately someone to talk to and share, not the complaints, the solving.
I hear you.
I'm begging you. Is there someone in CPO? Is there another community member at the level of the Target, Safeway, all the big players?
Sure.
Katie Car Wash, the minimums. Unfortunately, we also have the corporate overlay that prevents the management from doing. They have all said shoplifting that is out of control and nothing they can do. There are different problem solving things in the community.
Absolutely.
So my name's Ann Cruz, and I'm the commissioner for District 2.
You're sitting next to the important person.
It's jobs here. So exchange information, and if I need to, but
Yeah, we work together.
Yes.
I'll give you some
And
tips on it.
would you prefer-
I can probably, yes, and I can probably wait to copy. My name is Ann Naughton. We live just right up there, right up Saltzman. And we've been here, what, since 1990? All of you have, you care so much. Our kids have gone through St. Pius for the Sunset School District. You can imagine, I'm a realtor. That's up. We have a dental office on the east side of town. When I stepped out of the front door of our dental office in 2019 to absolute chaos and anarchy with the meth cars. We're right at 122nd and Burnside, which is the highest crime, drug, hit and runs, deaths, drive-by shootings, at it all. And then it's relationships, and I'm telling all of you, it is relationships with this gal, with them, TriNet, and then it's coming with solutions, which we have. I counted on people here to take care of here. I don't have an emotional bandwidth because I'm saving our office and I ran a business out there for 5 years. I'm counting on you, but I can't help it anymore because I have too much experience in problem solving and relationship building.
Did you say Ann?
And
I'll give you step one, and we
Stop crying.
We can
Stop
keep Commissioner Cruz at us. Call us anytime you see something. I'm serious. And whether it takes us, whether we're slammed, and it takes us 2-3 hours to get there, and which may happen because depending on how we go for service, it's a priority system. That being said, the more calls for service that you generate in a certain area, the more that, like, like for instance, on Blank Street, we had all these people moved in on the street. It was becoming a huge problem. We've had problem houses where all these squatters live in the house, and the whole neighborhood's just in shambles. With all these people, this house is abandoned. I won't get into organ tenancy laws, you know how those work. But it's just awful trying to go through all this civil stuff with them. Please, if you see a car with expired tags on the roadway, county ordinance says you cannot park a car with expired tags on the roadway. Obviously, like a month expired, but if it's like these cars that don't have 2 front plates, they have expired tags, they don't have plates, they look abandoned, please call, we will tow them. And once that works, and once we start building momentum, and that's what happened on Blank Street in Aurora, is we just got all these calls for service flooding in. It's like, and then our lieutenants, before they're way below she's the big picture stuff. Whereas if it's something a small area like that, we can probably keep this off her plate, hopefully, as much as we can.
Thank you, but we also need to make sure that I'm aware so that we can.
100%. And the lieutenants that are my bosses and the commanders, once we start getting problem areas like this, where we're just generating calls for service, because they're massive. Where are we getting all these calls for service? That one that we showed might have that. And it's just like this dark bubble word, and the only thing generating those is calls for service.
I understand, complaint driven, unfortunately. I just want to add that I'm taught you never call 911 unless you're dying. And you never call non-emergency unless it's, and I am so tuned in that I could call every day, all day, and you become blind and not, and just call another call. At the same time, documenting, so I have my documentation. I just wait for the right time, like that bound RV to call.
Yes.
But I hear what you're saying, and I will, but it's, No one has, they've all told me to call, but I have too much stuff for you. I am so
That's a good thing.
tuned in.
Because when you start generating because we have a paper trail, because right now you're telling me, and I can send an email up, hey, Ann, she lives in this area, this is her community, she has all these issues that we're working with, she's becoming overwhelmed with it. But and I can put that out again, but when we have that stat-driven thing that we put out as Megan has, okay, so we got our 2 district. What is this that when the commanders and the lieutenants look at this map and they're like, what is this bubble right here that's like got 100 calls for service in a week? I'm saying, but they're gonna be like, hey, deputies, we need to focus, we need to shift our patrols here. Like, if we do that, and I promise you. And the people, like, as far as those people that call in nonstop, usually they're calling us and tell us that they have people, the ones that are doing nonstop, they're like, we call them 1234, whether it's like but they're calling in stuff that's not like, it's kind of like, right, it's like, but when you're calling in genuine complaints,
License plates, lack of, or.
please do, because like, again, that's enforceable. When it's like, when we get the call where it's like, hey, there's this shady person. And he's acting weird, looks like he's just, absolutely, we'll go talk to them. But if it like, and that'll be helps. Yeah, it just, and even just, we'll just go check them. Even if if it's just someone that looks like they're up to no good, whether we have something that's enforceable or not, county ordinance or not, we can at least go, hey, I just wanted some community members. It's like, they saw you, there's one just to make sure you're okay. Yeah. Oh, no one wants to talk about that. But like, that'll just like, the more that we put calls around here, the more people see that. And the trying to I get that. And as far as the CVS and Target, CVS, Walgreens, and Target are the 3 hardest hit corporations. And then again, it's not these mom and pop shops. And you're like, this is our livelihood. This is our one store. We got to call everything. No one's getting one of us. It's a you know.
Yeah.
I'll say international.
Calling or reporting anymore, and so.
Because we're more than happy to do it.
Understand. And I do, for anyone who's on the call, I do want you to know, I talk to people who need help directly, gotten them shelter, gotten them help. I'm really talking about the nuance of drugs. But again, they need help too. So I really want you to know that you help, I get out and walk.
And we appreciate it, trust me, you're no burden to us, no fault at all. That's what you pay us for. And realistically, go ahead, sorry.
This is a really germane topic because I just found out this afternoon, and Pam, I guess you probably know about this, that Doubletree Hotel is being proposed as a temporary homeless shelter. I wasn't even aware of the fact that it had closed, but Doubletree down there by the freeway has been closed for some time, and I've got an article here. I'll share my screen for a moment.
I can tell.
I just want to say I'm going to pop off because I've got screaming children, but you guys are in good hands with the sergeant. So thank you.
Thanks for leaving me hanging, Megan.
Oh, sure.
You're welcome.
Anyway, this article, it just mentions that, there it is, Central City Concern will receive almost $30 million. My correspondent said that he heard it at an HOA meeting, an Oak Hills HOA meeting. So, and that's the area she was talking about, which I'm not sure if that's good or bad. At least it'll give them a place to live. Pam, what do you know?
I can tell you that it's under consideration right now, Virginia. There is not, and it is in Central City Concern is the managing partner or proposed managing partner. So, and that is there was another location for a shelter hotel that did not work out, and this is being explored at this time. So I can say that much. That's what I know.
Right. And it's such early days. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. But
There's a question here, Virginia.
If I may add, Central
Yeah.
City Concern built Blackbird right next door to our dental office. And then it changed the complexion of the whole area. Now they provide good services, and there's other things that impact the area. But it's Central City Concern, the shelter, is important to pay attention to.
And
Like
that
also
is, where
parking.
that is in.
Yeah.
So where in Multnomah County?
So there are people you can talk to, like if you do a GNA, contract with them, things to be aware of, parking and the impact on the rest of the neighborhood to help. If there would be enforcement of that, which there really isn't, but at least it shows, you know, that they are trying to work with the community.
We have a homeless outreach officer now, which is a big thing, someone dedicated to that. Again, if you can get, especially talking to the neighborhood, that we need to just call. Because once that becomes a hotspot, our homeless officer, the homeless outreach officer goes out there and gives these people resources and gets them into housing, like he has all these screens and he gets them out of there. And the more police contact that's there, and being called, right? Because when we're tied up on doing something else, if that calls, we have to service that call. So when that call comes in, we will, without a doubt, go service that call. So it's, hey, someone is it looks like they're living on the side of the street. I was seeing maybe an officer. Something like that. We'll just go.
We're not hearing anything from,
Oh, yeah, we're still here.
okay.
Well, yeah.
We'll certainly be following this. I guess we have a couple more minutes. Pam, did you have any general stuff that you wanted to share with us? We've got about 5 minutes.
I'm here to answer any questions. I heard the conversation early on about clean water services. I understand that there may be questions about that. We did authorize RO today to go into depth with the audit and investigation, and statement I made is in the Oregonian, and it's basically that we've lost public trust and we need to reestablish what the guidelines are for executive spending. And we're working hard to make sure that those things happen. You can see the outline of the RNO either on our website or in the newspaper. Virginia, did you have any? The other big thing that I mentioned is that we've got budget coming up, which is a big deal. And that starts our county budget will be released on the 28th. So that's going to be a very big deal. We are looking at anywhere from 10 to 17% budget cuts. And there'll be a lot of discussion with the community. I'm fully anticipating that there'll be a lot of anxiety. There is a lot of anxiety and a lot of pain related to this. The bottom line is that our revenues are not matching our expenditures. And by law, the county has to propose and has to adhere to a balanced budget. Unlike the federal government where you can run a deficit, that doesn't happen in local government.
Right, and I understand it's happening to counties all over the state. That Washington County's not alone.
We're not, and our budget and the shortfalls that we have in our budget are not related to what federal cuts we may be experiencing down the road as well. So there's a separate, that's a separate issue altogether.
The mess. And then we've got the Washington County History Museum that is trying to get more funding too.
Washington County Museum.
That's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah, that's a different, that doesn't mean I can't.
Well, but the timing is bad because the county doesn't have any money.
Yes, and there are the funding mechanisms to allow the museum to function need review. I'll just put it that way.
Right. Okay. Roger, what have you got to say?
Is there just a brief synopsis? How can this county have, so, I mean, I don't know what percent 10 million is out of the county budget, but with all the growth we've had and all the homes built, and how can there be a deficit? Where's that deficit coming from? What is the big driver?
I shared an article in this April issue of the Cedar Mill News about the county budget problem.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll look it up.
You bet. If we're gonna stick with our, agenda timing, we're ready for CPO updates. And I've got a bunch of them. Findlay Acres, and I will share my screen again. Findlay Acres is a 29 lot subdivision. Huh? And it's right next, this is Findlay Elementary right here. And this is what's going to be Old Thompson Road, because Thompson's gonna go down this way. And so the entrance, there'll be one entrance here on Old Thompson Road and another one up here on Hogan. And that is still under consideration. It's open for comment. This is actually CPO 7, but it's close enough to Cedar Mill that we want to talk about it. That's the general vicinity of it. The Alpenglow 6-lot subdivision, which is south of Leahy Road here, it was approved, but then it was appealed. And it's a neighbor that formerly owned some of this and sold it to the Beachy family with the expectation that one of the older homes there would be retained, and they just developed the remainder of it. But that's not how it turned out. And so he's upset that it's going to affect the character of the neighborhood. But I advised him that as long as, I mean, that's what happens when you sell land. You don't get to keep control over what happens to it. And as much as I sympathized with him, I don't see that he's going to have any success with his appeal, but maybe, you never know. Let's see, what have I got? Lorianne is where's Lorianne? Oh, I think I lost Lorianne. It's just a small subdivision off of West Road, and it has been approved. And the next thing that I want to share, I was at the Beaverton NAC meeting. Let me get the right thing up here. This is at the corner of Southwest Barnes and Valeria View Drive. It was the neighborhood meeting at the Central Beaverton NAC last night. NAC is Neighborhood Association Committee or something or other. Not sure what NAC stands for, but it's going to be, I told them Barnes Road is much too narrow here. It makes it hard to figure it out, but this is Barnes going along here, and the Rock Gym is up off the side there, and Starbucks is over on the opposite corner. So it's going to be a 55 unit
We are looking at Barnes Road in Valeria View across from the Albertsons that went
from
under.
the former Albertsons, right? And how come I can't get it to go to the second page? There we go. So this is the plot plan. It's still, I mean, they've come quite a ways with it. They've got, you know, architectural drawings and, but anyway, we're going to have them to the May CPO meeting. It is technically the city of Beaverton, but it's Cedar Mill as far as most of us are concerned. And it's definitely CPO 1. So we'll be paying attention to that. I don't want to belabor it too much because they're going to be with us in May. I believe, oh, no, the open house. for Thompson. And I can find that. I'm handicapped with my ancient mouse here. Is that still screen sharing that page, or do I need to go out and back in again? Can people?
That is not screen sharing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. There's an open house for work that's going to be done on Thompson Road, and it's adding a center turn lane where needed, installing street lights, installing storm drains, building water quality facilities. And that is on April 14th, which is a Monday. And unfortunately, it's the same night as CPO 7, but this is from 5 to 7, so people can stop in at the library and learn about what's being planned for Thompson Road, and then get back to the fire station for the CPO 7 meeting. Let's see, what else have I got? Findlay Acres, okay, that's it. And yeah, and I was going to talk about the homeless housing there down at the Doubletree. I don't know how far along that is. I guess it's just still being considered, but hopefully the neighborhood will be able to have a lot of input. I know that the current thinking about homelessness is housing first. You get people into some kind of stable housing, and then you start working to get them situated so that they won't be homeless anymore. So that's that. And oh yeah, let's go ahead and start with our first program, which is LUT. Have we got all the LUT people in here?
Yes, we do. You want to take?
Oh, very good.
Take a hot seat right there. Sure.
Yeah. See, Bruce, aren't you glad we set up down there?
I was hoping a slightly fewer in-person participation.
All right.
Great.
Happy to be here. So I'm Deami Valentine, Principal Transportation Planner in our Land Use and Transportation Department. And yeah, it's a little odd here, but
yeah.
And I believe Matt Bill Martin is here with THPRD, and Ika has a few slides to just walk through. So I'm here really just to provide an announcement and opportunity to share a few proposals that we've submitted for funding through the Regional Flexible Fund Allocation Program, which is a Metro grant program. Ike, if you want to go to the next slide, please, and just highlighting a couple of the projects that are in the CPO1 area. And there's 3 projects that we're kind of highlighting. I'll have a list of all the proposals that have been submitted out of Washington County, and then just talk about the public comment period as well. So I'm going to go to the next slide. A little bit about the funding program. It's a 3-year funding cycle that covers 2028 through 2030. The funds are federal dollars that are administered through Metro. Primarily focused, the funds are primarily focused on active transportation, but they include funds for carbon reduction and other funds that can be used in roadways, trails, sidewalk projects. The estimated funding availability for that cycle is up to 42 million. And there are 24 applications seeking funding, totaling about 140 million. So it's very competitive cycle this round. And as I mentioned, we have 9 projects submitted out of Washington County. And the public comment period is open now through April 30th. And so hopefully, I'm not sure, did your agenda include any
Yes, we have the link to
link
the,
to it? Okay,
to
good.
the survey.
So I encourage folks to participate. I'm gonna go to the next page. So there are 9 projects, a few that are in close proximity to CPO1, including Beaverton Downtown Loop. They're trying to do a kind of frontage improvement project along Hall Boulevard between 3rd and 5th Street. Hillsborough has a project that is attempting to improve overall travel time reliability and for the MAC system on 185th. King City has a West Side Trail Segment 1 proposal. Sherwood has a trail project. There's a trail project or a bridge replacement project in Tigard. And then THPRD has a proposal for Highway 26 bridge overcrossing for the West Side Trail. And then Washington County submitted a few projects, including the Beaverton Creek Trail on Merlot Road that I'll touch on a little bit more. And then also a project on Cornell and Barnes, what we're titling a better bus, which I see we now have 2 S's in there, apologies. Transit enhancement project, and then a design project down in Cooper Mountain on 175th Avenue project. So I did want to touch on the 2 projects that we've submitted, and I think Matt's going to talk on the US 26 overcrossing real quick. So next slide, few details on the proposal we've submitted for Cornell Road. It's intending to address travel time and really will provide benefits for all modes, looking at adding a right turn lane at Cornell and Barnes Road. Also, some transit signal priority treatments that will allow for a bus to progress through an intersection a little bit more reliably. Adding 2 enhanced pedestrian crossings along Cornell and then 1 along Barnes that would improve access to the Timberland area. And then also relocating a couple of bus stops as well. And the total project cost is estimated around 6.7 million, of which we're seeking about 89% of that total project cost. And this is in partnership with TriMet. They're also contributing some funds as well. Next slide. The other project I want to touch on is the Beaverton Creek Trail project. It's a trail and kind of complete street project on Merlot Road. It would close about a half-mile segment between the Tuolumne Hills Nature Park, where the current Beaverton Creek Trail currently stops, and then would connect to 170th and the Augusta Lane. If you're familiar with that segment, it would add a little bit more connectivity through there for safer kind of walking and biking connection. And that total project cost estimate is around 7.4 million. Similar request in funds from that grant program of 89%. And then I think if we want to, so Matt, if you want to jump in and talk about this project, I think maybe we can take some questions after that.
Yeah, thank you. Matt Kilmartin here with Tuolumne Hills Park and Recreation District. I'm a park planner with the district. So a little project background here. The West Side Trail pedestrian and bicycle bridge project addresses a critical need for safe, equitable, and accessible active transportation in Beaverton and Washington County by constructing a grade separated bridge over US Highway 26. This essential connection will complete a key gap in the regional West Side Trail. The need for this project arises from a lack of safe, convenient crossings over US Highway 26, which currently forces pedestrians and cyclists to navigate metro designated high injury corridors such as Northwest Murray and Northwest Cornell. In an equity focus area, these hazardous conditions disproportionately impact low-income residents, communities of color, and individuals with disabilities. THPRD has already received grants to study, design, and permit the bridge project. We completed a bridge feasibility study in 2021, and we're currently preparing to hire a design consultant to complete the design and permitting phase of the project over the next 18 to 24 months. So therefore, THPRD is looking to take the next steps to fund the bridge construction. So some project costs, the total construction cost for the bridge project is estimated to be upwards of $30 million. And so a combination of funding and grants are needed to make this project a reality for the region. THPRD has already secured $7.3 million in grant funding, including $300,000 from MS TIP opportunity funds. This RFFA grant application is seeking $6 million. And in addition, THPRD has another $20 million in grant requests that are awaiting decisions, including a $5 million Oregon Community Paths grant application and a $15 million RAISE grant application. I believe that might be referred to as the BUILD grant now. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. The purpose of the West Side pedestrian and bicycle bridge is to enhance safety by eliminating conflicts between vehicles and vulnerable road users, improve connectivity for pedestrians and cyclists by linking destinations across the highway, improve connectivity, support active transportation and sustainable travel options, reducing reliance on motor vehicles and greenhouse gas emissions, and address transportation equity by providing low-cost, accessible mobility options for historically underserved populations. Here, the photo on the left is an aerial view of the bridge crossing location over Highway 26, looking south along the Bonneville Power Administration BPA power line corridor. And the photo on the right is a conceptual illustration of what the bridge approach from the trail might look like. So to wrap up here, the West Side Trail Bridge project will not only enhance safety and mobility, but serve as a visually appealing functional landmark that integrates with the community and its natural surroundings by including the following design elements. An elevated single-span bridge structure with 12-foot wide pathway with 2-foot clear shoulders on each side, ADA-compliant approach ramps with gentle slopes, safety features such as enhanced lighting, protective railings, and throw barriers, fiber reinforced decking for durability, low maintenance, and reduced environmental impact, stormwater management features such as bioretention facilities, and aesthetic and ecological integration features such as landscaping with native plants. Thank you.
All right, and I think that wraps up. Just in terms of next steps, if you want to go to the next slide, Ika. Here's the survey information available in both English and Spanish, and decision will be made in June or July, and then if awarded, the funds will be available in 2028. So a little ways out, but always thinking years ahead. With that, I think we're happy to answer any questions.
CPO1 has a letter prepared to send in support. So I don't know. Fran's got her hand up. Fran?
Yes. Hooray that we're moving along in these things. One of the things, Diami, I assume that you're going to have me somewhere on either the TAC or rack or whatever for the 175th, since we've been working on that since together for many, many years.
Of course.
Yeah. The other one is, I'm hoping that LUT is looking at, I'm on the Metro Transportation Habitat Opportunity Areas, and they've got some great mappings of the high, right now we're, sorry, we're prioritizing the wildlife crossings across the metro area. And I think that especially the Tualatin Hills Parks one, which goes over Murray, once we're digging up and everything else, we might be able to get some wildlife crossing funding. Any kind of bridges that we're building, we should be able to do that. So I can put in a word for us. There are only about 4 or 5 of us on that prioritization recommendation. I could lobby to get this up there, because I think that Murray Road, that area that we're talking about, looks prime, as well as the Merlot Road trail, because I drive that quite frequently around the road, and there are quite a few critters that get stuck between the nature park and then that wonderful walkway and water retention basin on the other side. So I think it would be safe for the drivers and the wildlife. So anything I can do to help, please let me know.
Great, thanks, Fran. Yep, appreciate your involvement and participation. And I know 170th Avenue, you mentioned that. We're also looking for funding for the bridge, and so that might be an opportunity to consider wildlife crossing improvements.
Yeah. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I'll share the letter that we're proposing to have a vote on tonight so that we can send it. Anybody else have questions before we do that? Nope. What?
Thank you.
Oh, you're sharing. You have to stop sharing that screen before I can do it. Yeah, there we go.
Thanks. All right.
Okay, and this is dated tonight. I added the Cedar Mill Better Bus and Access to Transit Enhancements. We already had information about the bike ped bridge crossing. So it says CPO1 represents the Washington County communities of Bonnie Slope, Cedar Mill, and Cedar Hills. The majority of our members live in the urban unincorporated area north of Beaverton. Our community is split by Highway 26. The only crossings available to us are incredibly busy and bike and pedestrian unfriendly. Freeway underpass on Cedar Hills Boulevard, the overpass on Murray, and the overpass of Cornell Road in Bethany. They're more than a mile apart, and they are unsafe for all but the hardiest pedestrians and bicyclists, certainly not kids or anybody that isn't brave and bold. Construction of the regional West Side Trail crossing at Highway 26 would not only provide an extension of the West Side Trail, pardon me, providing more access to all to this regional trail, but would also allow area users a safe way to cross Highway 26 midpoint between Cornell and Murray. It'll improve access to shopping, to Sunset High School, to the THPID Turpinning Center, which is just not too far south of the other end of the bridge, and to the employment areas on Sunset Science Park Drive and the Greenbrier Industrial Park, and even to the Nike campus, as well as those just seeking to minimize the carbon footprint by walking or biking to work, school, recreation, or shopping. Our CPO membership supports allocation of the regional flexible funding to the bridge crossing of Highway 26 by the West Side Trail. We also support the Cedar Mill Better Bus project to improve transit times along Cornell Road. And with that, we'd like to see if our members would like to vote on this. So I will stop the share, and you can vote by either holding up your hand in the people that are in person or by raising your hand on the Zoom screen. So all those in favor of sending that letter, raise your hand.
2 people here.
2?
Yeah.
Okay. And we have 2 people online. I think the rest of the people aren't actual CPO members. Did you have your hand up, Ruth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that's 4 in favor. Is anybody opposed?
Actually, it's
Oh, wait,
5.
no, we have 2. We have 2 more in our attendees.
It's wait,
Maybe
there's
so that-
3, there's 3 here in person.
Right, and I thought.
Okay, so 3 in person and 4 online is what I think I have.
It's an overpowering statement of support.
Any opponents? I didn't see anybody. Put your hands down. Okay, so
Wrecking the fate of the region.
7 ayes and 0 nays. And nobody's, well, people that are abstaining are just not CPO residents. Good. All right. If there's anything else that team wants to let us know about, now would be the time. Otherwise, we'll move on to our next presentation, which was postponed from the March meeting. What to expect when I call 911 for a medical emergency. Corrine, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. I wanted to give a couple quick, well, I got a question for you. Is there an option for sharing some links in a chat? I wasn't seeing where
An option for what?
like a chat where I could share.
No,
some...
the little public meetings law decided that we couldn't do that.
Okay. Well, I can send them on to you if you would like, and then you're welcome to distribute afterwards.
Right, we can post them on our CPO1 Facebook group anyway.
Okay. Then I will share my screen. The other thing I was going to mention is that I am currently at one of our stations. So you hopefully it won't be a distraction, but there may be an occasional sound, like I don't know if you can hear that, but of calls that crews are getting tapped on. So let's see if I can bring this up. Whoops. All right, are you able to see that?
Yeah, we're seeing the full view. If you can do the slideshow option, it looks better.
Oh, let's see.
Up at the top, the option is slideshow. There's a menu at the running right along the top.
I'm seeing show taskbar, display settings. Oh, is that better?
Perfect.
Yay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. It just makes everything a lot easier to see.
Definitely. All right. Well, I want to make sure that there's time for questions as well. And the last thing I was going to mention, there's a small chance that one of our battalion chiefs might be able to join later on. So if you or Bruce would be able to just keep an eye in the attendees list, if Chad Ledson, or it might show up. It might show up as C5. So he may or may not be able to make it, but my name is Corinne Haining. I'm a public affairs officer with Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. So pleased to be here to help answer the question, what to expect when I call 911 particularly for a medical emergency. And also say that I'm comfortable with people asking questions throughout, but I may need help identifying if hands are raised because of my taking up the screen.
Great, thank you.
Sure. So just a quick overview for folks. Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue is the largest fire district in Oregon. So we serve parts of 4 counties, most of Washington County. which comes out to 28 staffed career fire stations, and then a 29th volunteer station that we actually have up by Skyline, that number 72 at the top in white. It is just under 550,000 residents, so we stay pretty busy. And oh, I'll go back really fast. The other thing I was going to say about that is we are an all hazards response agency. So along with fire suppression, we also provide medical service capabilities and rescue as well, including 3 specialty teams that we have. So we have a combined water rescue team at 2 different stations. It has 2 hazardous materials teams, and then a technical rescue team for the really complex, unique cases. I know the print on this is really, really small. My apologies. So hopefully it helps to drive home the point that we are data informed. But way up here, let's see if I can even get I don't know if it will show my mouse on the screen, but up in the upper right-hand corner, this is a summary of a lot of our data district-wide for 2024. And up in that top right corner, where it, oh, now I'm sorry, having a hard time being able to, oops, make my screen smaller. Anyway, we respond throughout our service area, we responded to about 60,500 calls in 2024. And almost 43,000, so 42,774 of those involved a medical component or were medical in some nature. So just over 70% throughout the district. If you love this kind of data and are interested in a deep dive, you can visit our website at tvfr.com and look for the standards of cover document. So it just goes into all of this, probably, hopefully to your heart's content, but much, much more information on all of that. Tonight, I was asked to present on what happens when I call 911 in a medical emergency. So first response agencies in Washington County partner with Washington County Consolidated Communications Agency, also known as WACA, which serves as the primary dispatching agency countywide. All 911 calls come into WACA, and call takers ask specific questions based on run cards that generate for the call taker which questions to ask. So it helps, if somebody calls in with whatever their emergency is, the big thing that they're describing, the call taker then has questions that help them funnel and become more narrow and more specific to what types of resources and personnel may be needed and how to then dispatch those to the call. One aspect of Washington County's recent updates to its ambulance service agreement included the dispatching of ambulances by WACA with the primary private service provider. So some of this may seem basic or like a review, but I think it's always helpful in our minds to go there before we go there and to think through what that scenario might look like. So call takers may also provide instructions about what to do when help arrives. We are asking people that when you call 911 to be prepared to answer the call taker's questions, which may include some general things about your location, either the building address, name of the business. Sometimes it may be very stressful for the person making the call. So if some of that escapes you at the moment, being able to identify landmarks nearby, the phone number that you're calling from and the nature of the emergency, details about the emergency, such as the physical description of the person and what their symptoms are. It's important to plan to remain on the line. The call taker may have additional instructions for you. They can be helping to tell you what to do until help arrives, such as providing step-by-step instructions to aid someone either who's choking or may need some initial first aid or hands-only CPR. For those who have not done any type of CPR training, dispatchers are still prepared to help talk somebody through that. So, you know, they just need somebody that's willing. And in those first critical moments for someone that may be experiencing sudden cardiac arrest, if you or somebody nearby at the scene is willing to help start CPR, those initial minutes of helping to keep the blood flowing throughout the person's body and keeping that oxygen going to the brain help to create a bridge until first responders can arrive. So we ask that you don't hang up until the call taker instructs you to do so, which is usually once they can hear or have verified from you that first responders have arrived. If you have heard us present before, you may have heard us say that we aim to send the right resources with the right staffing to the right call at the right time. And in the past, many years ago, there are several slides that help to illustrate this, but I wanted to not belabor the point and keep things moving. It used to be that there was the same type of unit and personnel response to every type of call that came in. But over time, it has been honed and specified to be able to identify that, you know, for certain calls, we may not need an entire engine with 4 people on to respond to a certain incident or call type. So over the last number of years, there has been an evolution where we have added some single units, that's the green car, with the single role paramedic that may respond to lower acuity calls. And there are some calls where maybe it warrants only an ambulance or a medic responding. Sometimes we will get the question from community members about, well, why does it seem like there's an engine and an ambulance coming when to either the person making the call to 911 or the patient, that may feel like an over response? And there's a couple answers to that. The first is that fire stations tend to be more prolific throughout the service area than on a given shift where the location of ambulances may be in the system. So if they're able to dispatch an engine first, then all of our rigs, all of our apparatus, whether it's a fire engine, a truck, a medic that looks like an ambulance, every single one has at least one paramedic on that unit, which is able to provide advanced life-saving care. So one of our units is often the first to arrive. They're able to begin triaging and asking the patient questions to determine what level of care is needed for that situation. And if the person does need transport to the hospital, they can help to determine, is it an advanced level of care needed, because for the ambulances, they have a couple different tiers or levels. So that if they're able to let the private provider know that it's only basic life-saving care needed for the transport, that helps to free up another advanced level care unit to remain in the system for higher level of calls that come in. So the goal with this slide was just to help demonstrate that a visual for how the run cards help to determine what level of call or what type of call may be coming in, and then the amount or type of unit and personnel resources that are dispatched to that call for the most effective and efficient response for each individual or each incident. And I know there's been some interest, both last month and this month, for a couple new programs, because medical calls are such a high volume of the calls that we run from year to year. It's imperative on us to continue to be thinking creatively and collaboratively in this space with our partner agencies and other stakeholders for how we can continue to provide a high level of care and professionalism and customer service that we believe our community deserves, and that we want them to expect from us. So within just in this year, in January 2025, there are 2 new programs that have come online. The first one is called an Advanced Resource Medic program. So one of the links that I'll send you, Virginia, was an article that was just provided in the Beaverton Valley Times about this. It's a 2-year grant-funded pilot program that pairs one of our advanced community paramedics with either a physician assistant or a nurse practitioner with a contract partner through Dispatch Health. And the grant allows this unit of 2 to respond to non-emergent calls at licensed care facilities, with the goal being to help reduce non-emergent transports when the incident or the event is able to be treated on site. So examples of the types of conditions that this pair can treat on site include, mild asthma, minor wounds, mild dehydration, and infections that can be treated on site. And for right now, for this 2-year grant pilot program, this Advanced Resource Medic unit are only able to respond to licensed care facilities, but those that can be district-wide, so it can be anywhere in our service area. And the other program that is Washington County and American AMR's program, but I'll speak briefly to it as an EMS partner stakeholder with them, is the second that's been headed up by AMR and also in partnership with the county, is called Nurse Navigation, in which non-urgent low acuity calls that come into 911, for this first year, it's starting with just, a few that are identified on those run cards that I mentioned earlier. Low acuity calls that are routed to a registered nurse who is trained in telephone triage that can then provide advice and relevant resources or suggest alternative locations, again, to help to try to reduce non-urgent or non-emergent transports to local hospitals or emergency rooms. And that just came online in March of this year, so also very new. And with that, I am happy to help answer any questions.
Did I hear you say that the nurse navigation at this point is only for licensed facilities like long-term care or whatever?
That one is the Advanced Resource Medic program.
Ah,
yes, but nurse navigation is countywide, and it has also a few months prior also rolled out in Clackamas County as well through AMR.
Great. Roger.
Well, what is the relationship? What is the relationship between the TV, your organization, and the private ambulance services? And why do we need, private ambulance services to transport? I mean, is that a political thing or turf thing?
Well, I know that it is determined at the county level by the commissioners. So in the metro area, in Washington County, Multnomah County, and Clackamas County, it is all the primary ambulance service provider is a private service provider. We also operate in a slice of Yamhill County, so primarily Newburgh and a little bit of the surrounding area. And in that section, Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue is the primary ambulance service provider in Newburgh and that piece of our district. In Washington and Clackamas counties, there are, let's see if I can, there are language or contracts worked out so that, or county specific agreements, I should say, in place for us to provide supplemental transport services when needed. I don't know if Commissioner Treese is still there, if she wants to.
No, she has.
Okay, okay. Well, I will leave it at that.
How about, how does the, like, someone has to pay if a private ambulance transports you, right? Does
Yeah.
someone have to pay if TV transports you?
So TVF&R charges a base rate or a flat fee for transporting a patient to a hospital, as well as a mileage fee from the pickup of the location to the hospital. Most of the time, we first obtain insurance information from the hospital. So we first try to go that route. And once payment is received from insurance, we will then bill the patient for the remaining balance. But pricing is subject to the county the patient is transported in.
One last question. I was thinking about the DNR notices. Do you have a program where you publicize or recommend such a thing? Is there a policy on those?
We don't take a position on that. However, I will say that on our website, and I'm happy to, I don't know if there'd be an easy way to distribute, but maybe just on our website through another link that I can send Virginia. We usually print them out as bright red medical cards, medical information cards, where we recommend having one for each person in your home, because you fill it out individually based on any medications you may be taking, medical history, and post that to a refrigerator is our best recommendation, because that's where, if firefighters are responding to a call, they know exactly where to go and where to look, and it's bright red, so easy to see. But on that form, there's a place to indicate if you have a DNR or any advanced.
DNR is do not resuscitate.
Yes, thank you. Some people know it as a POLST, so anything of that nature you can indicate, so that then that helps to direct crews of whether additional steps are to be taken, or which route for them to go.
Thank you.
Yes.
I have a question. I think Roger kind of touched on it, but is any care facility a candidate for the advanced resource? What was the last word?
Oh, the advanced resource medic.
Medic, yeah. Does excuse me, if there was a little home-based care facility that wasn't in a brick and mortar building, is that serviceable by the advanced resource medic?
So I am not the expert in this, but the language that I know is that it needs to be a licensed care facility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This topic came up actually for me when we have a tenant and she was having definite medical problems and didn't feel comfortable asking us to do anything about it. And a fire truck and another truck showed up, and it surprised me that it wasn't an ambulance. And so it occurred to me that most people haven't had to call 911 in their life, but it's kind of reassuring to understand the process a little bit more.
Absolutely. And you are not alone. This is something that we are getting more questions about of similar nature. I think because, like you said, either people may be having to call 911 for the first time or know somebody that did, or they see a response in the community that, maybe appears bigger than what the incident ended up warranting. But that's something too that we usually try to point out or bring up, is that like my mom is a good example. This was years ago, but she was at work. She was maybe, having a little bit of weird arm tingling or a little bit of what, like to her, it was minor symptoms. And my parents live in a smaller town, so she didn't tell anybody. She just thought she would drive herself to the hospital. So when, but if dispatch were to have received a call like that with some of those symptoms, it would have been a much larger response, because we would much rather have all the assets there that we need in a worst case scenario. And then once it's determined that it's not that, it's easy to clear apparatus back to the station or send crews on their way and get them back in service, rather than undershoot or, underestimate, and then it become a worst case scenario type situation.
Yeah, great. Well, Roger, you're good at this.
How many people work for TV fire and rescue?
Yes, thanks for that question. So right now it's about 622, and about I want to say 440 or so, or though of those are firefighter, EMTs, or paramedics. So I had mentioned that each one of our units has at least one paramedic on it on every shift at every station. But in order to become a firefighter, people have to, as a baseline, at least have their EMT license. And then they can opt to do more beyond that if they wish.
Thank you.
Great. Well, if nobody has any more questions for Corinne, we have on the agenda, we have the It's Your CPO portion of the meeting. So if anybody has any topics that weren't covered tonight or issues that they're concerned about, now's the time to speak up. Yes.
I'm curious, Corinne, if the executive training session is still going on. It was a 3-weekend thing when I took it a number of years ago.
I don't know if this is the same that you're referring to, or if it's maybe become abridged, but Community Academy is so I used to work at the sheriff's office, and I know that Beaverton Police, there are different agencies that call their community academies, where it's open to the public and it's several weeks long. TVFNR hosts a community academy a couple times per year, and it's a little bit more targeted toward either local elected officials or other key stakeholders. That's by invitation from our fire chief. So we have one of those coming up next month. And I actually was going to mention this, that's not related to medical emergency calls, but just may be of interest to this group. In starting actually April 15th for a couple of different blocks of time from mid-April through the end of June, our agency will be partnering with THPRD and doing some wildland fire training at Jenkins Estate in Beaverton. So there will not be any live fire, but you may see either extra apparatus just staged sort of outside of Jenkins Estate. You may see some just simulated smoke, but it's primarily for firefighters to continue to hone in on their training of laying down lots and lots of hose where there are areas without fire hydrants. And also, I'll note that there are, throughout that time, there will still be at parts of Jenkins Estate that are open to the public.
interesting. I just off the top of your head, can you suggest where people can go to get that CPR training? I keep thinking it's something I should do.
Well, I'm happy to, there are a couple different options. So TVFNR offers the hands-only CPR that is, if people are interested in learning but don't require that you be certified, if you're not worried about getting a certification, we are happy to come out to present to groups and bring some smart mannequins where as you're doing the compressions, there's some little lights that let you know if you should be going faster or slower. And when we do that training, we're also happy to bring an AED trainer as well, so you can practice sticking on the pads. So that's one option. And then beyond that, there are, if you're interested in certification level, groups like the Red Cross or others as well offer that.
Yeah, I think, we're seniors and you never know.
And, to me, something that I've learned just since working at this agency is that, heart attacks tend to be more of a plumbing problem, and sudden cardiac arrest is more of an electrical problem with the heart. And that can happen at any age. So it can happen, it's still not something that's common, but part of the training that's provided, whether you go through us or another agency, is being able to recognize what those symptoms may be and helping, just noticing if somebody is not responsive, not breathing, starting CPR right away.
It occurs to me that the Opal might be a perfect place to set up one of those trainings.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of nice empty floor space.
Yeah, because it's a seniors emphasized facility.
Yeah.
And we could do a joint CPO and Opal. We'll work on that.
That'd be great. We'd be happy to.
Yeah, Roger.
Gosh, the more we talk, the more questions I have.
That's okay.
What about
like me?
disaster training, like an urban wildfire, nuclear disaster, terrorist activity? How much training do the agencies do on that?
On our side, we always have ongoing types of training all throughout the year, internally and also with partner agencies. Where I thought you were going with that question is more on the community preparedness side, and it can vary by community, but I know that Beaverton has a pretty robust CERT program. So working within neighborhoods for, helping individuals to make sure not only that you have an emergency stock of food, water, medications for, they say 2 weeks, but we recognize that, for many people, it's even hard to get 3 days worth. So aim for having, start with 3 days for each person in your family. But if you're interested more on the helping to make sure that you yourself and your neighbors would be prepared in an event like that, then I would encourage you to look into a local CERT program, which TVFNR does not have, but I know that Beaverton's is very strong. And on the training side, there we do a lot as far as just ongoing trainings. Like I said, with the wildland training block, that's a good example of anticipating, nobody can predict what the summer wildfire season will be like. But we do know that last year, Oregon's was record breaking as far as acres burned throughout the state. So I believe it was close to 1.9 million, even though it was mostly central and eastern Oregon. So I think, for some people in this area, it maybe didn't feel as prevalent as what we remember from 2020 when was much closer in Chehalem Mountain, but you know, we're preparing on that front, but always have other ongoing trainings as well.
Hey, Bruce.
You mentioned CERT, and I found it a little curious that the TVFNR doesn't support it, but Beaverton does. And I just looked it up, and the city of Beaverton funds CERT training for anybody who lives within the Beaverton School District, which is considerably larger than the city limits of Beaverton. So, you know, the more we can, you know, it has the ancillary of value of letting people get to know each other, and in an emergency, probably being on you know, social terms with your neighbors is one of the best things you can do, because that's who we'll have in an emergency. You know, long-term disastrous, oh my God, I can't believe it happened kind of emergency.
Yeah.
For some reason, I've just read 2 post-apocalyptic novels that are set in California. And right now I'm reading The Parable of the Sower, which is a popular book. And before that, I can't remember the name of it, but a little bit of preparedness goes a long way, even if it's a real post-apocalyptic situation. Let's hope none of us have to deal with that, but I think that's it. Oh, Fran, you got your hand up.
Yeah. Mine just real quick. I know when we have a lot of family in LA, and with the LA fires, one of the big things was knowing where to call if you can't get in touch, like if the cells are down or whatever. So the 2 things are having other people know who to call in your family to let them know you're okay or not, and vice versa, having a meeting place. So having a family meeting place somewhere outside of the emergency area. Sorry. Those are the 2 big ones.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I know that the fires that were down in California at the beginning of the year were just devastating, and you know, the whole country was watching for what felt like a number of weeks. And while I just had mentioned how impactful Oregon's fires were last summer, we know that California was able to send a number of personnel and resources to come help support us. And in the fire service, there's a long history of that mutual aid and service agreements. So it's long been recognized that fire doesn't recognize boundaries. So those mutual agreements are already in place in between states, again, to that preparedness piece of when something like that happens. So we were honored to be able to return the favor and go as part of the Oregon State Fire Marshal's statewide mobilization. Within about 24 hours, they had mobilized from Oregon about 370 firefighters to be able to send down to California. So from 23 out of 36 of Oregon's counties, and we're down there for about a 2-week deployment. So yeah, just I appreciate you mentioning that, Fran, because there are so many details like that that are important to think through.
Definitely. I think we're really fortunate in Washington County to have TVFNR. It's a very well-run group.
Well, we appreciate the community support.
Okay, looks like we've finished our work here for the evening. Bruce, thank you very much for setting up down at the Opal. I think it was worth it. Does the young man next to you want to introduce himself?
Oh, I'm Carrie Ann. I'm trying to get more involved with the CPOs, so I decided to come
Hi.
tonight.
Great. Welcome. And we had the guy that emailed me about the homeless shelter proposed for the hotel joined us this evening too. So we're branching out. bringing all the people in. Right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next month, which will be May 13th. And we'll have a little bit of an election forum. There's several things on the ballot. I think there are some bond, I don't know if they're bond measures or tax measures, but I know that there's a lot of school board candidates. And then we'll also have a presentation about that apartment building on Barnes. So see you all next month. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.